Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Joushi Ramblings. I did shave, but I've also been very sick for the past about week or so, like 5 or 6 days, and yeah, it's been a bit, but I do have some more content coming out in the next couple of days. Talking to Zach Camo and his recent performance in whatever GT that he recently won. I think it's All Is Dust is the name of it. But today I kind of wanted to talk about a discussion that I've had a lot with people on Reddit, Discord, and in the YouTube comments that I just kind of wanted to put out a video just to get my thoughts out into the ether. And the main point that we're talking about is the understanding of 40K as a game being played around breakpoints. And the breakpoints are way more important than like playing the game as a spectra or as a spectrum. And I want to give a couple of examples for this. So the first example that comes to mind is the difference between Scout 6 and Scout 7. And so this is something that has come up in some of my games recently, where I was playing up against Tau and Kroot Carnivores, and Kroot Carnivores have Scout 7. And Scout 7 means that they can move with their Scout move to touch the middle objective and sticky it on turn 1 if they go first. Whereas if we were to do the same thing in the Siege Regiment, where we give a unit of Cadians Scout, Scout 6 is not enough to touch that middle objective before the game actually begins with our Scout move, and so we would not be able to actually stick you. And that is a huge difference, is understanding the 1 inch of difference making a really big deal. And this is very true of 40K in general, because we care so much about if one thing, have we passed the condition of we're able to do this. You just need to have to one unit of Gaunt's Ghosts into a ruin in order to get sabotage. You only need to have you need to have your entire unit past your deployment zone in order to do recover assets. You just need to have one model touching an objective in order to cleanse. So much of it is about a pass fail. It's not how many models do I have on it so I score more for cleanse. No, it's are you touching the objective? Yes, therefore you're going to be scoring the same number of points for cleanse. And you have to control it, but that's a different thing. It's actually part of the same discussion. And we'll kind of get to that in a little bit. The other major place where this comes up is looking at leaders in 40K, or at least leaders in terms of guard. And it's true in other armies as well, but it's particularly common when people are talking to me and they ask about Castellans, or they talk on Reddit or Discord or whatever. And the reason why we don't attach Castellans to Kasrkin in most lists, and this comes down to a couple of key understandings about what Kasrkin's role actually is. And the first major thing is understanding that Kasrkin are a skirmishing unit. This means that they need to be able to kill other skirmishing units, and they need to be able to take objectives from other skirmishing units. And other skirmishing units are things like assault intercessors with jump packs. Um, Sometimes it's units of boys, or storm boys are actually a great example. Skirmishing units tend to be fast, they tend to be OC1, and they tend to have just enough damage that they can realistically have a chance of killing 5 Space Marines. 5 Scout Marines, oftentimes, because you need to kill like the infiltrators and things that are coming out, but generally they also need to be able to kill 5 Assault Intercessors with jump packs. And Kasrkin do this very, very well. And they oftentimes don't die to their opponents, right? 5 Storm Boys or 5 Assault Intercessors oftentimes are not actually killing a unit of 10 Kasrkin, especially if they take a Meltamon on the way coming in and lose a model or two. Um, but the big thing about this is that a unit of 10 Kasrkin with double Melta, double Plasma, and a Sniper Rifle and Plasma Pistol is going to pretty comfortably kill a unit of 5 Space Marines on its own. You give it first rank fire, second rank fire. Maybe you give it move, move, move. Maybe you throw a grenade as well, and you're going to be killing 5 Space Marines pretty much all the time, or at least a very high percentage of the time. And what that actually means is that our unit has passed the breakpoint. It has passed the test of can you kill 5 Space Marines. We don't really need this unit to kill 7 or 8 Space Marines, because that doesn't get us to the next breakpoint of being able to kill 10 Space Marines. And understanding this difference is a huge breakpoint in terms of why you actually take the Castellan versus the Kasrkin, or attach the Castellan to the Kasrkin. It's worth looking at another spot in guard where we do, or where we have historically attached leaders quite often, and this is attaching the Militarum Tempestus Command Squad to a unit of 10 Scions. A unit of 10 Scions without an order has historically generally killed like 7 or 8 Space Marines, which is usually not enough, right? This unit is trying to hunt larger units. Kasrkin are going for 5 Space Marines, but Scions need to be looking to kill 10 Space Marines and the character attached to them in order to generally justify including them in a lot of armies. And in order to do that, going from killing 7 or 8 Space Marines to killing 12 or 13 Space Marines by adding the Militarum Tempestus Command Squad, where you get sustained, you get an order when they drop for sure, and you also add a couple of extra guns to the unit as well, puts you over the bar from killing about 7, 8, maybe 9 Space Marines to killing 12 or 13 Space Marines, which means that we're oftentimes killing the character that is attached to a unit of Death Company or attached to a unit of Sanguinary Guard. It takes us from killing about 4 Exalted 8-bound to killing all 6 of them. And that is a massive difference in being able to kill the entire unit in ways that we were not able to do with just 10 Scions. The other major reason why we generally don't look to attach leaders is they need to be more points efficient than just taking another unit. And an easy example of this is a Castellan costs like I think it's 55 points right now. That costs half a Kasrkin unit. And even though it does increase our output by about 50%, the problem is, again, that 50% is not hitting us to that next breakpoint that is particularly interesting. But it's also more effective instead of taking, in a hypothetical situation where we're taking 2 units of Kasrkin that both have a Castellan, it is better for us to just take a third Kasrkin. The Kasrkin are already doing a lot of the damage anyway. They have a lot of the tools. They are relatively cheap if we need to throw them away to score secondaries or just stand on objectives for a turn to force our opponent to come out and play. And adding a Castellan just makes that unit more expensive. So it does the same things that we were asking it to before, but now it is more expensive. And so that is just a downgrade in a lot of terms. The other major spot that I kind of want to talk about in terms of understanding breakpoints is with movement. And in the game of 40k where movement is super important, move, move, move is one of the most powerful tools in the guard arsenal that I don't think a lot of people necessarily understand. And the main reason why move, move, move is so powerful is kind of going back to what we were talking about with the other breakpoint of like touching objectives or being in a certain spot on the map. If I have one model that is still in a certain table quarter, I'm not scoring engage on all fronts. But getting that extra 3 inches of movement is oftentimes the difference between them being able to do that and them not being able to do that. 3 inches of movement is enough for me to go from hiding behind a wall to now touching an objective. 3 inches of movement is enough to get my tank to just barely poke a tread out around the corner in order to actually be able to shoot. And you just need to be able to pass a test. Can this unit see that one? Yes, because you barely got a tread being able to see. That's enough in order to be able to shoot every single one of your weapons. And all of these breakpoints of movement end up mattering a lot. But the one other breakpoint that I kind of want to talk about is understanding the breakpoints in objective control that are really important. And there's a bunch of them that you generally kind of care about. The first one is 2 OC, is the first breakpoint you care about. That is 1 battle line guardsman touching a point, and this is most of your transports. The next one is 3 OC. This is most tanks in the game are going to be 3 OC. That is, again, 1.5 battle line guardsmen or 1 battle line guardsman with duty and honor for the +1 OC. 5 OC is a really big breakpoint because this is 5 jump pack intercessors. This is 5 storm boys. This is some of the heavier tags like Rogel Dorns. I think Land Raiders are also OC5. But being able to put OC5, again, that is 3 guardsmen or 2 guardsmen with the duty and honor. And then OC8 is the next one that we generally care about. That's an armiger or a war dog. And then OC10 is a lot of just infantry in it. So being able to understand all of these relevant breakpoints and understanding how we can put enough OC on it to either tie it or beat it is a huge difference in the way that we can actually play the game. Again, it is a argument about breakpoints. We pass, fail. Do we have equal or more OC than our opponent? Yes, they don't score that objective. But if we have one OC and they have more than it, it doesn't matter that we have some OC. It doesn't matter that we have 7 OC on a point if our opponent has 8. And being able to just have that little bit of extra difference. And so as you guys are like building your list and as you guys are thinking about how to include orders or how to have certain movement around the board, you need to think about what these breakpoints that they're looking for or what breakpoints actually matter to these units. And a big one is scouting, right? Or how much OC. The Scout 9 from a Scout Sentinel is a really big deal because on a lot of deployments, that means that it can stand 6 inches away um, from the center of the battlefield and force your opponent to overcommit into killing a Scout Sentinel if they draw Area Denial, because they will score 2 points instead of 5 points, and that's a 3-point difference that comes out just from having one model in your army that has Scout 9. Um, yeah, that's basically it. Just understanding why we don't generally do this. Um, I did have one other point. This is why this is Joshi rambling, and also, again, I'm still recovering from being sick. Um, there was a time where we were seeing a lot of 20-man units of Krieg being brought in like the Wesley St. Hines infantry list that were bringing Death Corps marshals. And one breakpoint that is kind of harder to see unless you have played games with it is I remember asking him, Nemo, why are we playing 2 units of Krieg with leaders instead of 3 units of Krieg? And the answer was because I can't hide 3 units of Krieg. There's not enough safe space in most deployment zones for me to have another unit of 20 Krieg just running about. And so having that extra unit be around it means that I can't protect it. I cannot keep it safe. And so that's a breakpoint of how much space you actually have. Um, the one other breakpoint. Oh yeah. So the reason why this discussion actually came up was because someone was asking why why don't we attach the Ogren bodyguard and a command squad to a unit of like 20 Krieg or a unit of 20 Cadians or whatever? And the main reason, so the first reason is one because why are we bringing the Ogren bodyguard at that point? The unit is now toughness 3. And toughness 3 to toughness 6 is another big breakpoint, right? You go from like a lot of things I want to shoot at guardsmen are strength 4 or 5, which go from being stronger than the toughness, so they're winning on 3s, to being lower than the toughness, so now they're winning on 5s, so it's functionally a -2 to wound. That's a huge breakpoint. But the other major thing is it's just not more efficient. We are at a spot where the Ogren bodyguard and the command squad are going to be killing 5 Space Marines. They're not going to be dying to a Ballistus Dreadnought. They're not going to be dying to a Riptide. They're not going to be dying to a lot of things that want to kind of shoot at these units that are very generally efficient units on their own. We are just trying to find something that is just barely tanky enough to do the jobs that we need it to do. We don't need it to have an extra 20 wounds attached to it. We just want it to be able to do the one thing that we are asking it to do. So understanding that we are trying to find the cheapest things that accomplish the jobs that we want for them on the board is a big deal in the way of building 40k lists. Anyway, that's about it for this episode of Joshi's Rambling. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys all soon. Bye bye.